Kimberly.
Welcome to the VHS Club. We're so excited you're here. It's spooky season. Yay! Spooky season. It's not really. We have a rule, at least in this house, that Dane says that I'm not allowed to celebrate Halloween until October 1st, but I'm cheating because I'm fully in spooky season, and I'm going to Salem tomorrow, and I'm decorating for Halloween. I'm in it. So I'm really excited that we're kicking off spooky season with this one now.
Hey, the equinox is on the 21st of September, spooky season. And
Spooky
at that,
season.
by like mid-August, I'm like, spooky season.
And I'm super excited that our whole live studio audience is hanging out here with us tonight. I see everyone hanging out here. I love Dan says he's wishing he had time to watch the movies. That's okay. You can watch them whenever. I often so this one last night I started the movie and then I was like, nah, I'm too tired, can't do this. And I finished today. So totally fine. You can watch a bit of it, you can watch none of it. We won't tell. It's all good. Everyone's had a busy week. Everyone always has a busy week, so it's good. We'll cover the movie for you, but there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, pause this one or turn this one off and come back later. You can always catch it on replay. But if you want to be part of the live studio audience, you can always hang out with us most Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube. But you can also just listen and watch whenever you want, wherever you want. We're everywhere. Creepy and scary as that might be. It is spooky season, so we're here for it. Oh my gosh. Well, Practical Magic is one of Dane's favorite movies, my husband's favorite movies. In his top 5, I think. He'll jump on at some point and probably let us know or correct me, but I think it's within his top 5. He loves Gattaca as well. That might be number 1. But
and Waterworld, which I'm with him on
yeah.
that one. Everybody can fight us, just
Everyone,
me and Dane, because we're the only ones that have heard Waterworld. But
when we get around to reviewing Waterworld, it'll just be Nat and Dane, and I'll have the week off. it'll be great.
Yes, we know everybody hated that movie. Loved it over here.
Yeah. Nat and Dane we're big fans of Waterworld.
Practical Magic. So I was telling Katie earlier when I was watching this, and the soundtrack of this movie is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell, Stevie Nicks, need I say more? There are other great songs on this soundtrack. You don't need to say more. Really? And I was telling Katie, I'm like, back when this came out, there was so much girl power was just a thing in our culture.
Yeah, Lilith Fair.
Lilith Fair, women in songs, the whole thing. And Spice Girls, obviously, girl power was just such a norm that I didn't quite appreciate the soundtrack as much then as I do now. But rehearing it, I'm like, wow. I'm like, kids are missing out. That girl power thing was really... It was special, and we just didn't appreciate it when it was so prevalent. But
this movie embraces it all the way through, and part of it is because it's about witches. And first fun fact of the evening: the actual practicing witches love this movie. So take it for how you will. We were talking right before we jumped on. This movie is in two sides of the same coin. It is horribly campy and yet not really as campy as you think it should be, and brilliantly acted, but also you're kind of but is it good? I don't so it stands the test of time in a really weird, I can't even properly explain it kind of way. And I think you hit it there, where it's just got an incredible cast. It's like a woman powerhouse cast, and everyone is pretty fantastic in it. I think the weakest link in this entire movie is Aidan Quinn. So sorry, sorry, Aidan. So and maybe it's just because he's not a woman, you know, like if he was one of
He
the girls
was.
here.
Yeah, I did mention to Katie earlier, I'm like, I feel like Aidan Quinn was just there because at the time he was quite like the hot thing, you know? He
Yeah,
was he was like this stable, good-looking generic all-American actor at the time, and but I was like, the chemistry between him and Sandra Bullock was nothing compared to the chemistry between Sandy and her husband, which was like off the charts amazing chemistry. And
yeah,
Aidan Quinn was like, he was good, he did his job, but I'm like, it didn't, eh, not as
yeah.
much.
All right. Well, for
So
Kimberly, who has not yet
yeah,
seen this movie, let's give a
yes,
brief rundown on what it's about. Magic, witches,
it's
a
about
curse,
magic.
beetles, death beetles, which apparently are real, guys. There are
Yes,
beetles that apparently, well, in folklore and legend, can predict death. So, yeah, worth a
yeah,
watch. Here's Nat with the
yeah.
storyline.
So two sisters are being told the legacy of their family, how their ancestor had fallen in love and gotten pregnant with her lover's child. They were not wed, I believe.
Mm-mm.
Um, so they believed she was a witch, and they tried to hang her, but because of magic, she did not get hung. And apparently, as a side note, factoid, no actual witches were burnt at the
Harmed
stake or
during the making.
hung, harmed. Harmed during the Salem witch hunt. Apparently, no actual witches. I mean, terrible because it has. Anyways, it's a whole other subject. But so witches were okay though. Um, and she gets banished to an island to go live her life out, and her lover never comes to find her and the child. So her magic creates this powerful love that she has into a curse that anybody in this family, in this lineage, when they fall in love, their husband will die. So a female witch's husband will die um, when they truly love them. So we flash forward to these two young girls, these twins, I believe, and their parents are very much in love, but their mother hears the death beetle, and she knows her husband's going to die, and then she dies of heartbreak. So the two young girls have to go live with their aunts, and the aunts are very witchy, and they very openly, like very warmly welcome these two kids into their life. They're like, we eat chocolate cake for breakfast, we don't need to do homework, and we practice magic at every equinox. So it's just really nice. So it becomes this thing where these two girls grow up with their aunts and they're practicing magic, and they actually do have magic. And everybody in this little sort of coastal town, it seems like it's an island off the coast of Boston, like near Salem-ish
It
kind of. I don't
yeah,
know.
it
Do they specify in the movie?
I don't
I
remember. I
don't
don't think
think
they
so.
do. I It was filmed
It seems like
predominantly in
an
Washington state, but yeah, but yeah.
yeah. I'm like, it's like off the coast of Massachusetts. Let's be
It's
honest. So
coastal. It's a coastal
that's
town.
kind of coastal, you know, east. Anyways, so these two girls grow up with magic, and one decides, learning of the curse of the family, I'm never gonna fall in love, and to protect myself, I'm gonna do a spell that the only person I will truly ever fall in love with is somebody that's impossible. So she makes a list, like, he's going to have the power of a star, he's going to ride a horse backwards, he's going to have two different colored eyes, etc. And the other one's like, I can't wait to fall in love. She's like, it's better to love than to have never loved at all. Damn the consequences. So then it shows these two sisters. Sandra Bullock is Sandy, and her
Sally.
sister Sally, sorry, I keep saying Sandy, Sally, and Jillian. Nicole Kidman, as they're older, you see Nicole Kidman, the sister who's like, I want to be in love, has a string of terrible relationships, a very wild but carefree lifestyle. And
Hmm.
Sally just wants a normal lifestyle. And she meets a man. They fall madly in love. They have 2 young girls, and they're super happy, but then she hears the death beatles and he dies. So then she goes back to live with her aunts and her 2 daughters. And then her sister, Jilly, is in trouble, and she goes to help her sister. And they have a bond where they can hear each other through their blood bond. And she has an abusive boyfriend, so the 2 sisters basically off the boyfriend, partially to off him in self-defense because he's very abusive. And then they decide, okay, well, we have to resurrect him because we don't want to get in trouble for murder. So they resurrect him, but then he's super obviously abusive, violent as a ghost. And they off him again. In comes I guess, not a marshal, but for a U.S. attorney investigator for the state of Arizona, where the man was from, comes into town to try and figure out what happened. And this is Aidan Quinn, and he matches all of the criteria of Sally's impossible
man, yeah.
true love. So as he's trying to uncover what really happened to this abusive ex-boyfriend of the sisters, he also falls in love with Sally. And that's essentially the movie.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah.
So my first point that we should discuss is that
and the aunts have a tradition. The aunts have a tradition of a margarita night.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't seen anything of this movie, you could just Google practical magic, lime in the coconut, and it is such a wonderful scene where Stockard Channing, Dianne Wiest, and Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman just make some margaritas, have a good old time, get super drunk. Midnight margaritas. Yes. And it's wonderful.
I would like to be woken up maybe like weekly for a midnight margarita party. So
I feel like Wednesdays are a good midnight margarita day.
Yeah.
It's like the middle of the week.
Yeah.
And who cares about Thursday, Friday?
Who cares about Thursday, Friday? Yeah. No, that scene was fantastic. And I think a lot of why it was fantastic is that Sandra Bullock actually brought like apparently really cheap tequila on set that day. And everyone, like the cast, all of the crew just got smashed and they filmed this scene in the movie. So, which I think, was Paul's take. Apparently they actually got really drunk for that scene. They really did. So yeah, I think that makes
And it kind of showed, but not in like a bad way, just in a very authentic way. It was, I mean, it was literally authentic, but it was such a wholesome scene.
It is a wholesome yet drunk scene. What I was going to say, and I want your opinion on this, Nat. So you covered this a little bit, but let's dive deeper. So Sandra Bullock's character goes out because her sister, who's played by Nicole Kidman, is in this like horrible relationship and is like called her to come and save her, right? To go to help her out. And so she goes to save her sister. And of course, inevitably they end up being kidnapped and stuck in the back of a car with this crazy, trying to be almost maybe ex-boyfriend, about to be dead boyfriend of Nicole Kidman.
Flash about to kill them boyfriend.
And they sort of like accidentally kill him, like in their defense. They were trying to knock him out and they give him too much and he ends up dying. So like, fine. And they're panicking about it and they end up driving in a panic, end up driving all the way back to their aunt's house.
So over state lines.
Over state lines.
I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to murder somebody and take the body over state lines.
So they're driving all the way back.
That's bad.
So like that part, I was all like, yeah, I feel like this could happen. Like, it feels believable. I feel like this story is like believable enough. Like
he was
domestic violence. He was a jackass. Yeah, it was self-defense. Yeah. But okay, maybe they panicked and drove all the way back. And then they feel like terrified and they don't want to go to jail and they're having panic. So they steal their aunt's book, a magic book, grimoire,
book of
shadows. and they find this resurrection spell that they were specifically told not to use because they wanted to use it to resurrect Sandra Bullock's husband, who she like desperately loved.
And their parents. So they're not allowed to use the spell, but they do anyway. They bring him back. They know it won't work in a good way.
And the second that they bring this guy back, he immediately starts trying to kill Jilly, Nicole Kidman's character. Yes. And so Sandra Bullock hits him over the head. And I had this moment where I turned to Dane and he dies. And I had this moment where I turned to Dane and I was just like, like, I feel like now would be the time where I would call the police. Like the first point, it was like kind of hard to defend maybe killing him in that particular moment because like they were, even then they probably could have defended it, but you know, they basically poisoned him. But this time, like, he actively had his hands around her neck and she hit him over the head to stop him from choking to death her sister in her home. I was like, this would have been ideal.
He did have a gun on them when they poisoned him, and not like allegedly poisoned him. It's belladonna. And I was asking Katie, I'm like, how much trouble would I have if I put in my Google search, does belladonna come up in a talk screen? What spikes does it provide? Like, what does belladonna look like on a talk screen? And is it something that is normally run? Because I'm like, I would have just called the cops immediately and be like, I don't know. He had a gun on us. He was beating us up. He tried to kidnap us. Actually did literally kidnap them. And
then he just died.
Like, and then he just had a heart attack. He had a cardiac event, we think. So we called 911. But I'm like, so anyways, I didn't Google it because I'm scared to have that in my search.
To be clear, everyone, like, I know that there would have been no movie if they had called the police at any point, but I just figured, like, after the second time, I would have been like, wow, screw it, let's call the police now. Like,
so, but after the second time, so this is where my thoughts side with them, is like, now the body is a lot less fresh.
Yeah.
So if like I called the cops now, they know we've had the body for a while. Like, because he was a corpse and he came back as a animated corpse, not as a human living being. So
yeah, it's true.
Like I would have just Vikinged that onto Valhalla. Like, light him on fire, set him out in the ocean, done.
Yeah, solid choice.
So he's still haunting them, but yeah.
It's true. And of course, you know, he haunts them. And I think one of my favorite moments of this movie, and there were a bunch of facts that were kind of surrounded about this, and huge props to Nicole Kidman because she got like a lot of praise for this part of the movie. But so they've re-killed him. They brought him back to life and re-killed him. They buried him in the backyard and they're trying to just be done with it. And of course, he's now like, you know, appearing in all these different places. The girls can see them. He's haunting them. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And eventually he takes over Nicole Kidman's body, and it's a huge problem. And it's at this point that the aunts, who have been basically ignoring everything, and they're like, well, we know what you've done and you're not admitting to it, so we're just going to peace out. They eventually come back and agree to help. And this whole community of women, so to what you said at the beginning of this episode, this like community of women, all these women who like basically have been like afraid of the witches and like not wanting to be part of this, they all come together.
Well, they're raised in a culture of they're raised in generations, like it implies like hundreds of years of these
judging and victimizing
families and hating this one particular family.
So they all come together to save Jilly and to basically exorcise this guy out of existence.
Which I love.
It's just like really well done. Like it could have been really campy, and in this movie it could have been campy. We probably still would have liked the movie, and it could have been campy because of the 90s of it all, but it actually like was just really brilliantly done. Wholesome
it was
and
like wholesome, cozy with a little bit of scary.
Like they all connect their brooms. The one woman is like shows up with a small vacuum cleaner, like a dust buster. She's like super excited about it. And they you know, and Nicole Kidman, like, I mean, again, not an easy role to play and have it look not campy. And you know, she's like throwing her body around. She's, you know,
I feel like possessed. This is one of her stronger
roles. Like she really
still does her little like which I'm sorry for the poor impression of Nicole Kidman, but maybe the unpopular but honest impression of Nicole Kidman. She does yip a lot in every movie.
She does.
But it really worked in this, and it was so good. She was like, again, like you said, when she was possessed, it was really, I was like,
she was throwing herself.
This was really good.
She did. She was throwing herself to the floor so much that the like crew on set were actually worried that she was going to give herself a concussion, so they put in rubber floorboards because they were like, she was like literally
Which they should
slamming
have done at the
slamming
beginning
her head
of
against
this.
the floor, and they were like, oh, all right, we're gonna. But yeah, so she, I mean, she gave it her all, and it showed in a really like cool, as you said, kind of just this like very community women like powered,
Yeah.
just awesome scene. And I love at the end where like they finally get rid
It's
of
like,
this guy and they all
yeah.
sweep him outside together. The like
Time to clean the
ashes,
house.
yeah, time to clean the house. It's just kind of fantastic all the way around. So
Which,
I
a
really love
little
that part.
factoid. So Sally owns a little shop in town, which I'm sure all of us when we grow up really would love to have a small coastal town where we own a shop that sells lotions to the tourists and little
Sure.
tinctures and stuff to the locals.
Yeah.
But so Sally has this shop and where she sells like lotions and shampoos and soaps, etc. And some potions. And her two employees, one of them plays Nancy in the movie Sid and Nancy,
Mhm.
about the tragic and like sort of cultural pinnacle of punk,
Mhm.
from the Sex Pistols. And so this actress plays Nancy, and the only thing I know her from is playing Sid Vicious's lover slash murderer Nancy.
You're like,
And
hey, it's
see
Nancy.
to see her in this where she's like this like cute like local witch, and I'm like,
Uh,
it shook me a little. It was a little unexpected, but I kind of loved it.
yeah. Oh, another favorite moment. I'm just gonna keep throwing out my favorite moments because I really did think there were a
Yeah.
lot of them actually in this. But so Sandra Bullock's character Sally is like throughout the entire movie, she's the stronger, quote unquote, like more powerful witch. But she, after her husband dies, she no longer wants to do any kind of witchcraft. She doesn't want to have anything to do with her family here. She just wants to be normal and ignored and whatever. And so one of the things that she desperately wants to be is included in slash at the top of this like phone tree of other mostly moms in the community at this school, right? That's like she's
Like
just
the
desperate.
parents committee
The
of the
parents
school.
committee, right?
Yeah.
The PTO. So she's like desperate to do this, and Jilly comes back and is like, she's the no nonsense, I can do what I want sister. So she so she comes in and just completely puts her sister at the top of this list magically. And I just love I love the like bossy mom who's like trying to control everything and is like clearly never going to give Sandra Bullock a chance, and she's just like trying to find a way to not say that it's Sally that's at the top of this list, but every page says Sally, and she's just like, and they've just openly like endlessly slut shamed and insulted Nicole Kidman's character, and she
Yeah.
just doesn't care. She's just like, nah, gotcha.
She walks into the classroom. She's
Yeah.
like, "I'm back, bitches."
Yeah, she's just fantastic in it, and
Had
like,
to husbands.
and Sandra Bullock just does such an amazing job of playing
Yeah.
this like counterfoil to it, but still being like fantastic and beautiful and a fantastic actress. And I don't know. I like, again, I had this moment where I was watching with Dane and I turned and I was like, are you a Sandra Bullock person or are you a Nicole Kidman person? And he was like, I kind of like both. I just like, they're just like so, they were like both at the prime of their career and both like beautiful and fantastic in this. And they just like were so perfectly suited to these roles. This is one of the few movies where I didn't see a lot of like, most movies when I'm researching like facts for them, there's always at least like, you know, these are the other actors or actresses that, you know, would have played these roles. This one like didn't have that in any of the facts that I saw. So I wonder if they were like, no, these actors were going to play these roles. And that was it.
It seems like it. I very distinctly remember from the time interviews with Sandra Bullock saying like they were supposed to do, allegedly, I'm just remembering this, they're supposed to do at the equinox a nude dancing around the fire witchy kind of thing, and she's like, there's no way I could have done it with Nicole Kidman in the room because like there's no comparison, she's gorgeous.
She needs to stop
And
that.
it's amazing how at the time like the industry of Hollywood was telling us that Sandra Bullock is the fat ugly one. Which I'm like is wild because She's just, like, slightly shorter than Nicole Kidman. Like, that's the difference. I'm like, they're both very fit, very thin, very beautiful women. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
wild that Hollywood told us Sandra Bullock was plain, the girl next door, and chubby. Like, what? Incredible. I can't believe
Yeah.
it. I was like, and I was always like, I wish I would be like Sandra Bullock. That's so I'm a Sandy girl.
Same, same. Although I
Yeah.
did think Nicole Kidman like destroyed at this role, but I
Oh,
am definitely,
absolutely.
if I
Yeah.
had to identify with one, I am much more of a Sandra Bullock than I am a Nicole Kidman. Let us know as you're watching or listening, whether it's now or later, which are you who do you identify more with? Which sister are you? Which Owens sister are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Are
think
you Sally or are you Jilly?
and secretly, and you and I were saying this before we jumped on, but secretly both of us are just Stockard Channing. That's who we really
Oh,
want to
yeah.
be.
No, really, like, when I grow up, I wanna be Stockard Channing.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about the ants' outfits, because I'm watching it, I'm like, they look like they belong now, they belong yesterday, and they
Yep.
belong, like, in the Gilded Age slash they look like Gibson Girls slash porcelain dolls.
Yep.
Like,
That was
what
intentional,
are they
apparently.
wearing? That's crazy, and, like, the hairstyles,
Yep.
the hats,
Apparently
I
the
love that.
I love it. I think it's like it's both, like you said, it's like timeless but out of time, and it also is like so it's like such a lean into like all of the stereotypes of witches. And like
Yeah.
like I will never forget when I first moved to Salem, and I lived there for I
Yes,
don't know,
facts. Katie
4 or
used to
5
live in
years.
Salem.
Used to live
I
in
loved
Salem,
it.
like right downtown, so I'm well familiar with the area. But the a lot of when and for the first little bit I was in the process of getting the like tail end of my green cards. I was not to work, so I spent a lot of time wandering around Salem, like doing photography and like doing all of the witchy weird tours and things. And it was amazing to me, this like counterbalance of like the actual practicing Wiccans that live in Salem are constantly trying to
Mhm.
educate the tourists and everyone that comes through that like that like what is an actual witch versus what is a TV movie witch. And I think this movie did a really nice job of playing off of both of them. Like they
Yeah.
definitely like played into some of the stereotypes and like and the misconceptions about the stereotypes, but but certainly showed like the everything on on the flip side of it, of what this community actually is and stands for. And even like in some of the things that Sandra Bullock's character says as she's kind of explaining it to to the community and to Aidan Quinn's
Yeah.
character. But I think the ants are like a great example of this, where apparently that wardrobe was meant to be like, we don't know how long they live. Maybe they live for way longer than regular people. Maybe like these are the clothes that they've always
They
had.
might
Maybe
be
they're
from
doing it for
yesteryear,
attention. Yeah, it was really meant to be kind of
or they're
like,
just trying to feed into them being eccentric. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah, exactly. It's like a little bit of everything and it doesn't really matter. And that's kind of fantastic. Yeah. I love the scene where they're walking down the street
Okay, so
and the one aunt is like saying hi and being
yes.
super welcoming and friendly to everyone who like will not make eye contact with her. She's so pure and so cute. Like you just want to hug her.
And Stockard Channing's like, why do you even try? Just like, who cares? So can
Oh.
we talk about so we found this factoid that the set of the movie, the production, had found a real Wiccan, a
Mhm.
witch, to be a consultant for the movie.
Yep.
And it didn't go well.
It didn't
Would you
go
like to give
well.
us the details
So
about
so
that?
they thought, hey, none of us are witches, so we should probably have a witch like that we can consult with to make sure that this isn't terribly offensive to this community of people. So they hired someone, and it sounded like almost immediately after signing like the contracts with her and bringing her on set, she started demanding all kinds of things, which who knows, there's two sides to every story, but it sounded like she was like asking for for there to be like crazy amounts of money given to her, and like and she wanted like
She
royalties
wanted
on
a
like a whole bunch of
percentage
stuff.
of the
She wanted a
royalties, yeah,
percentage of the royalties. She was asking for like way too
profits and
much. and threatening them with way too much. And so they went back and forth, and they ended up paying her like a lot of money to basically go away. But in that process, she cursed the set. Like, she cursed the entire production, and they were so worried that she may have actually cursed the production because, again,
Yes.
she was a practicing
I
that that they actually did an entire like ceremony to sage and bring the entire space back into a non-cursed, space, which I will say again, like having
I would have done that.
talked with a number of practicing Wiccans during my time living in Salem, like part of what they believe in, like they don't believe in curses. Like, they actually believe that whatever they put out comes back to them twofold. So I feel like she wouldn't have been a practicing witch, at least not within the Wiccan community, because if she had done that, she would have gotten all of that back at her. But
Well,
yeah,
I feel like she
weird
could
story.
have definitely used people's ignorance to her advantage. My opinion is like she's just going after the American dream. She
Yeah.
saw that this movie was going really
She's
well.
empowered. Yeah, exactly.
She's like, this looks phenomenal on set. I'm
Mhm.
going to cash in now because my contract should give me more money because I know they're going to make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
I feel like she just kind of cashed in on like, I'm going to pretend to hex them. But I also, as production, would have been like, call a priest. We're going to exercise the F out of this.
Yeah.
Sage everything. What indigenous population lives here? Let's like cleanse the land. Like, I would have been very worried if I was on that set.
That one actually, that fact is tied in my like favorite top fun facts from movies we've done so far. It's tied with when the hairdresser was kidnapped on the set of Romeo and Juliet. So if you haven't watched that episode of the VHS Club, go back to hear about that. We weren't able to find any more information on that. At least this one, there's like articles and stuff about.
The only information I found on that was that it wasn't apparently just the hairdresser, but it was like the makeup crew also was kidnapped. But we only heard about the hairdresser. Anyways, that's a whole other episode. But
a whole other episode.
But yeah, no, crazy movie facts.
Crazy movie facts.
If a witch hexes you, like, take that serious.
They did. They totally took it seriously.
Thank you.
But they
I have to say, I was going to say that the scene where they're doing the margaritas, so they're making margaritas for margaritas at midnight, and they say a little spell, and they're like, dog of tail, eye of newt, which actually, if you look that up, I sent it to Katie earlier. Like, I think eye of newt is like buttercup petals from like the flower, and like there's actual like, you can look up what we in modern days call those things. It's not literally like eye of a newt. It's not
an eye of a newt. Yeah.
Like, so apparently there are actual still in use and in practice ingredients that sound super creepy. But when they're doing that spell, that incantation over the margarita blender, I was like, that seems kind of real. Like, I would have to look more up into that because I wouldn't just repeat it because it seems real and the movie's fun. But we learned that from the Scottish play from Shakespeare, that it's probably a real incantation, and don't say it out loud.
Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud.
So when you see magic in a movie and it gives you a vibe, don't repeat it until you really look into it.
So here's my other favorite fact from this movie. There were like lots of really great ones, but that one that we just said is top. And then my second favorite fact from this movie is that the house, so there's this like iconic, for Kimberly who has not yet seen this, there's this really iconic, like incredible house, maybe beautiful, only topped by the Hocus Pocus house, which is actually a real house. This house in this movie was built specifically for this movie and was not a real house. It was like the shell of a house so that they could build it exactly how they wanted. But it was built apparently on like indigenous people's land, which feels like a real bad idea. Like, not a graveyard, but just not their land, which feels bad. And then,
I mean, beautiful land, not yours.
Beautiful land, not yours. Feels like a bad idea. Especially if there's curses going around. Feels poor. Don't do that. And then the second thing is, because the house was so beautiful, Barbara Streisand actually called the movie set, the movie crew team, and tried to buy the house. Like, she thought it was a real house, and she was like, I'm gonna buy that house. And they were like, sorry, Babs, this is not a real house. We can't sell this to you.
Dear Lord, even Barbara's a witchy bitch. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
if I
yeah.
was Barbara
I mean,
Streisand, I would 100% be like, okay, well, will you build it for me? I would like that house. Please, can someone just build me that house? I'm Barbara Streisand. Like, come on now.
yeah. Yeah, no, if I had Barbara Streisand's money, I'd be like, okay, let's find a nice coastal but not watershed area to build this house.
Yeah,
Go.
exactly. I would
Like,
like the house
that
from
would be
this movie,
great.
please. And while you're at it, also build the Ropes Mansion next door from Hocus Pocus. Let's go. Let's just build a whole series of spooky
Yeah.
houses that have been used in 90s movies. Let's just do this. If you're looking
Yeah,
for
I have to
things to
say,
impress us with, these are the things. These are the things that we would be impressed with.
the kitchen. The
The
kitchen
kitchen.
was phenomenal. The fireplace with like the brass tiles, like or
Hmm.
the yeah, were they no copper
Copper?
tiling.
I don't know. Yeah, some kind of
I think
tiling.
it was copper. Soft
Stairs. I
metal
love all the
copper. Yeah.
stairs. I love the like
All the
spiral.
stairs, the attic, like
Hmm.
the attic that you can actually stand in and it's not just a crawl space,
I
like
have
one
one
that
of
has a
those
finished
attics.
floor.
It's creepy.
I do not. I have a crawl space. I refuse to go in spiders.
Yeah,
No.
that's fair. That's
All
fair.
the little magical jars, all these beautiful, like all their herbs and spices are in these like beautifully like hand labeled crystal jars with stopper tops. Like, I would love that.
Yeah.
Very fun.
I would love for all of my spices and seasonings to be in glass jars that are labeled, but it's really expensive. So shout out
It is.
to that set for just really pulling that off. I can't afford that.
Also, the space. Like,
Hmm.
it takes up a lot of space.
Takes up a lot of space, yeah, but it looks so pretty, so I feel like it's
It
worth
does.
it. It really is. All right, well, we've got to talk a little bit about Aiden Quinn's character because I think he's the weakest link.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe those of you in the live
Agreed.
studio audience, did you like this character? I feel like it could have been better written, better acted. I
Anybody?
don't know anything. I didn't. I and why? Tell me. So I feel like he's supposed to have one blue eye and one green eye. They're really clear about this, and he just doesn't. He does for like that second where they point it out, and she's like really close to him, and his eyes like are in the light, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, you have one blue eye and one green eye." But I was watching from the second he walked in the door, and he had just blue eyes,
The pretty
normal
bad
blue eyes.
CGI.
Yeah, I was like, couldn't we just get him like some contacts or like explain this in a different way or like make it like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, shout out to her. She's incredible, but she has two different color eyes in real life. Like maybe we could have hired just like an actor
So
that
did David Bowie.
yeah, right?
Could have
Like
just hired David Bowie.
missed opportunity there. Really.
I'm
It
like,
would have been
you're hiring somebody significantly older than the lead actress anyways to
yeah,
play her love interest. You might as
sure.
well have just hired David Bowie because everybody loves him.
And is
Like,
and is he we were talking a little bit about this, but like let's talk about it. Is he actually like her he's not really her true love. He's this like let me throw out a whole bunch of words that are things that like will never go together. So like the fact that she's like, "Well, I'm really drawn to you because you're like my impossible match." And I was like, but like really he's just weird. He's like a bunch of things that shouldn't go together ever, but did. And I just like I'm normally the one that like ships for every I'm there if there's like a true love story. I'm there, but I'm with you that the original husband that they killed off with the death beetle, I was in for him to just come back to life well or not
yeah,
die.
their chemistry was great.
Their chemistry was great, and he like just seemed very likable. I just
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, they should have changed actors. Like I was sad he died, and then I was really sad that Hayden Quinn existed. It was just like across the board.
It Yeah, I feel like that's where the movie let me down was that it wasn't a solid connection between them. And like she does point out like if you stay, I don't know that it'll be real because
Yeah,
um because there's a spell
because
that I
it's the
had
spell. Okay,
cast. I mean, she did cast the spell like it will be my true love, will be all of these impossible things. So
that's
I
true.
feel like that
I
yeah,
guess.
it's implied that yes, this is her true love regardless of how impossible he is. I just think the chemistry between them let me down. I'm like he was like the it standard all-American guy at the time and And no offense to him, I love him in all, like, he plays a good Irish cop in everything, you
I
know?
also have a lot of
But
questions. So, folks listening and watching, are you any of you from Arizona? Is that what people from Arizona sound like? It felt offensive. Like I just like his
it was
accent
like a
felt
weird
weird.
Southern-ish.
It felt like a Canadian trying to play a Texan. That's what it felt like
That's
to me.
that's what I said. Like, to me, that's a fake Texan accent.
Yeah, but it
Like,
felt like a
'cause I did it.
non-American trying to like got a script that said we need you to be from Arizona, and they were like, I don't know what that means, so I'll just
Like,
be
what's that
from
accent?
Texas. Yeah, I don't. It
Like,
was weird.
he could sell me on being, like, some corrupt Mick cop any day, but that? Like, this weird Southern slash
Yeah,
Arizona thing? I was like, I don't know.
yeah.
It just felt, and also, like, so wait, are we saying that Sally drove to go help Jilly all the way from Massachusetts or whatever, East Coast New England to Arizona and back again?
Well, it was supposed to have been like a pretty long drive, but I don't actually know if they ever say where the town is. It's just coastal.
Like,
We don't
where
know
she
where it is.
was at the time?
It's not
No, but I
Arizona.
mean, well, I
We
mean,
know
she
it's not.
wasn't in Seattle. It didn't
Oh.
rain.
Don't ask me about geography, Nat. You know that I'm not capable. I can't answer those questions.
The
I'm
Canadian
like,
winning
is
on American
Arizona
geography.
landlocked? I don't know. Does it have coastal? Does Arizona coastal? I don't think so. I think it's dry. I
So
think it's
where we are on the continent, it's on the other side.
okay. But it's not all the way on
Yeah,
the other side because I've been to all of the western United States and
pretty
I've been to
close.
all the eastern United States. It's really like the middle that I'm like pretty weak on. So I haven't been to Arizona. So in my defense, I have not Arizonaned.
It's,
But
from what I understand, it's very hot.
it's hot, dry, and mountainous. I don't think it's coastal. So whatever
No,
state
no,
she's
it's
in is not there.
absolutely not coastal. I do like it does appeal, the dryness of it
Mm.
appeals to me, living on a tiny island in the middle of a river. I'm like, it's super humid here. But no, it's just in my mind it seems like it's so, the drive was like an overnight drive, not like, a like 6-week drive.
Come on, you can get in a car drive. So maybe not you. I could get in a car and drive and drive like 36 hours, and I would just do it straight. I would stop for coffees.
Okay, I'm Googling it. Boston to Phoenix Drive.
Yeah. How many hours? Let's see. Live fact check.
Drive. It is it is a solid 40 hours.
See? Yeah. Doable.
That's
Do-
no.
Doable with a dead body in the back seat. You're going to hustle. You're not going to stop.
True.
They could rotate back and forth and pee in a
True.
cup. Like I feel like it's doable.
Like, more like a bottle with a screw cap, because you don't
Yeah.
want that sticking up
Well,
the
they're
car.
witches.
But
Maybe
anyway.
they could just like eliminate the feeling. Who knows? Who knows what's possible? Yeah, anything's possible. But yeah, that's true. I guess I have questions about the drive. I have questions.
I
I
do. I
also,
do. Like,
I
she was just like, it's okay, I'm gonna leave my kid for 80 hours. Like, because she had to
well,
go there and back.
but the
She's
kids are
just,
with the aunts, so that's all right.
yeah, the ants that are like, nudity's optional at the Equinox dance. Let's go, kids.
Yeah, but she grew up
Like,
with these ladies, so she's like, yeah, all right,
I
but
know.
don't. And they're like, yeah, but we're gonna. And she's like, oh, fine. So,
I do love that she very strictly tells the ants, like, no magic for the kids. And they're like, okay, mom is like in the other room. Let's do all the magic.
I do love, now that you're reminding me of it, I do love that. So the two daughters, Sandra Bullock's daughters in this, are fantastic. They're like just adorable
Yes.
and did such a great
It's,
job acting.
what's her
They're,
name? Rachel Evan Wood
yeah.
is one of the daughters.
And the
Yeah.
other one, both of them are like in stuff now that you'd recognize. I'm terrible with names, so I couldn't tell you, but but both of them are really really cute. And there's this scene where they're making a potion to basically get rid of Aiden Quinn's character, with their aunt, Nicole Kidman. And they're doing all these things they're not supposed to be doing, and and it's really cute and fun. And then they sit down for pancakes with this guy who they initially were just going to get rid of, and then they realize that he's like super
Yeah.
perfect for their mom. And so they literally take the thing of syrup and run to the cliff and just throw it over into the ocean. And I love that, like, it was just like, well, I guess I really didn't like that syrup. It's just such an awkward yet fantastic moment where it's like Sandra Bullock's character just with a straight face is like, nope, I guess we're like, and like doesn't seem to really follow up too much about it. She's kind of like, well, that was weird. I guess
They
she's
don't
got
like
bigger,
that food.
I guess bigger things to deal with, but it seems like she's just kind
Yeah,
of
they're
like, all
like
right.
trying not to tell the guy we murdered somebody twice.
She does pull off, which I'm impressed with, as someone that's a terrible liar. I did love she's supposed to be this like terrible liar, and she's, this is her like person, her impossible person, but he's trying to question her about what happened to this guy who's clearly dead, and everyone knows he's clearly dead. But he asks her like direct questions. He was like, did you and your sister kill him? And she's like, not in this house. She just like has
Not
to
a
just
lie.
she gets away with not lying. She's like, did he for the exact word, I was like, did he die? And she was like, yeah, we killed him twice. Like, it's just, she just really pulls it off. And it's just, Sandra Bullock is so likable from start to finish. And I hope she knows how likable
Yeah,
she
she
is.
plays a very relatable character.
She's
in
always
everything,
super
everything
relatable.
that she
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
You just feel like you could be friends with her. And I love that apparently, so throwback to another one of our episodes. So we did an entire review on Speed, the movie Speed. So, and as you know, if you watch that review, she made the epically bad decision of going forward and doing Speed 2. Well, Keanu Reeves was like, no, that sounds bad. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So this movie was actually the first movie after that one where she made the conscious decision to only do movies that she wanted to do. She was like, I'm not gonna do big budget movies anymore. I'm here to do movies that I want to do. So I think it's like, it was a good move for her. This was a fun movie. It doesn't seem like her career really suffered. This movie bombed, by the way. It did terribly in the box office. But
did it? I remember it being so popular.
It continues to be really popular. It did not perform well at all in the box office. And it just picked up and carried on. Probably a lot of it is that it's kind of, it's become now a Halloween, it's spooky a cult season cult classic. Like in the same way that Hocus, I don't know, we haven't yet reviewed Hocus Pocus, but I don't know whether or not how successful that was in the box office or whether or not that was it
was a Kenny Ortega Disney movie.
Yeah, I was going to say whether that was just on like The Wonderful World of Disney or if it was like actually in the movie theater. But yeah, I think movies like that just become the thing that you watch every single year. Like Christmas Vacation. Like, how can you not watch Christmas Vacation every Christmas? You need to. If you haven't, you need to do that. So it's the same with this one. It's like it's part of the Halloween
I find
movies.
Nowadays I hear about it even more. Yeah. Like people are obsessed with the leave a rosemary by the front gate and always fall in love as often as you can. And there's this whole little saying from the movie that people are obsessed with, and they're obsessed with the aesthetic of their outfits, the kitchen, everybody's like, oh, it's practical magic season, not even spooky season. It seems to be quite
good for this movie.
Love it still.
Good for this movie. I love it.
This movie may have done slightly crap at the time, but it's doing great royalties. I hope the actors are being paid and writers.
Yes, but not the witch. I hope that the actors and writers,
got her money.
Not the
she
witch.
got her money.
She did. She got her money. She got it all through. Well, we are almost at the end, so if you're watching with us live, let us know how many potatoes you think this one should get. I had a hard time with this one because in my head, I was like, it's not a good movie. Like if we're talking critically acclaimed, the best, it's not a good, but it is a comfort movie, and it does hold up pretty well. Like I was saying, there's it feels like it's a little bit campy, but I can't really even tell you why. Like even the CG part where maybe it wasn't even CG, who knows, but no, actually, not. Yeah, the eye maybe was a little bit campy, but I was going to say
other colored eye seemed like you could see it flicker from blue to green.
That part, and
just
maybe
put a contact in.
I know, just put a contact in. I know, maybe blue and green are too close together. No, the part where and I can't even remember his name. This is how bad I literally just watched this, but the guy, the
Dr.
dead guy. No, the
Doctor,
dead.
what's his name from ER? Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
Croatian doctor from ER. But
that's
like,
true.
that's how I know.
That's
Dr.
true.
Korvac?
Dr. Croatian doctor from ER. When he comes back
Super Dr. McSexy,
to
but yeah.
life, and he comes like out of Nicole Kidman's body and is like a ghost. I was like, huh, this is actually like pretty, maybe it's remastered a bunch, but I was like, the version that I was watching, I was like, wow, this is actually like pretty decent. Like it's about what I would expect from like a horror movie or like a spooky movie that I would watch these days. Like I really
Oh,
didn't feel
B
like it was.
movies nowadays aren't that good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
it
didn't
was
think it was badly
decently well
done.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think the only parts that were like badly done, again, were like, I think Aidan Quinn's acting was bad. And I think the eye, like, yeah, just get contacts. And I think when they kill him the second time, the
The
doctor from
actor's name
ER.
is Goran Vishnik.
All right,
I don't know if I'm pronouncing Vishnik right, but it
there you go.
seems
Goran. So Goran, great job in this
yes.
movie. But I did
He's a
find
phenomenal actor.
I did find that when they have to, as part of the resurrection spell, they have to pierce his eyes, and they like open his eyes and they're like dead eyes. I think when that was happening, I was like, oh, these eyes, like there's something about like the look in his eyes that just like looked really campy and weird, and like that part I was like, oh, it broke up for a moment my feelings about it. I love this quote. Paul says there's a little witch in every woman. Yeah, right? This is just like an empowerment movie. Every woman should watch this.
Ancestrally, as a Scottish and Ukrainian person, aka just a druid, probably. I haven't looked into it, but it's very likely. There was that time in Salem where a witch nearly accosted me to talk about something that I was just like, no, thank you. But
all right, well, I'm
knows?
loving we have some reviews coming in. Val didn't watch it, but she's giving 3.5 potatoes just for the review, so I do appreciate
Nice,
that.
thanks, Val.
Potatoes just for us. We're gonna turn those into poutine.
I love that
because that's who we are. We were at, drum roll
I was at
please.
yeah 2 ratings.
I was gonna give it 3, and Nat talked me into
Same.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I was watching it, I was like, you know what? In my mind, it was a solid 3 potatoes. But then I was like, it's not as bad as I thought. And the acting is way better than it deserved to be.
But it's a cult classic. Yeah. And you can't, yeah, it didn't, we still haven't mastered we haven't gone into Canva and edited our potato into half. So since we can't give half potatoes yet,
Well, also, I don't want to hurt poor Christian's
we can't
face.
cut Christian Slater in half. So George, who is also half Ukrainian, so he gets like even a bigger vote. He gives it 4 brooms. We have Dan writing in with 3. He's got given it 3.
Solid,
Good job, team. I was on the same page.
The extra potato. So it was 3 for me, but the extra is because of its cult status. It's
3 for the movie, 4 for the endurance of the movie.
Yeah, because I find it seems to be, if you go online on social media, this is all the kids are talking about. Like, you will hear the whole little intro, like, song for this movie on every fall spooky season post. It's like, I hear the pumpkin spice calling. You hear the theme song from
I will say the theme song for this, which final fun fact of the evening, but the theme song for this whole score, actually, though, we have talked about being so fantastic, the entire soundtrack for this movie was actually completely redone. Like, it was done, and then they were like, no, and they completely redid it. So I'm thrilled that they did. No offense to the original people, but yeah, when this movie started and the music started playing, I was like, oh, like it was so triggering. It totally
that like emotional response.
Emotion. Yeah. I don't like pumpkin spice. Don't come for me. But
no.
I was like, oh, apple cider and all the other like pumpkins and Halloween and
all
sweaters.
Yeah.
Fall. Yeah. Just,
mace or allspice or whatever you call it. But delicious.
So Paul is giving 4 potatoes, but they're magical potatoes. We talked Val into 4. Amazing, Val. Yep. You'll have to watch it and let us know.
Yeah, watch it. It's super cute.
And then Paul said, which I think I absolutely agree with. He says that when he watched it today, even though he's seen it many times, it felt fresh. It did. I couldn't. Yes. I don't think I saw this initially when it first came out. I definitely have seen it with Dane before because, as I said, it's one of his top movies. Um,
Randomly favorite movies.
randomly favorite movies, and I
Yeah.
remember being like, really, and then watch it. It was like, oh yeah. So I don't even know how many times I've seen this. I definitely more than once because I recognized the music and felt like I remembered a lot of the moments. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it was just a really great spooky
Also,
season watch.
a fun fact that we didn't mention, apparently to get Nicole Kidman on board for the script, they sent her the script with Joni Mitchell's song, In Case of You,
Hmm.
as like to be like, please come and play this part. And I was like, the power of Joni Mitchell, of course. Of course
Yeah.
she did it. Like, yes. Again, the soundtrack was fantastic.
The soundtrack is fantastic. Go and download the soundtrack and watch the movie. Well, welcome to spooky season, everyone. If you're listening to this outside of spooky season, just go back and relive spooky season anyway. We're not judging. You can be spooky in the summer. We're in for it. You don't have to block it into October, but we are gonna for the next couple of weeks be super spooky, and we were talking about some of the fun
Yes.
spooky and seasonal movies that we're gonna do. Who knows? Maybe we'll
Yes.
yeah, maybe we might drag spooky season into a little bit of November too, because why not? You know, we'll carry that love all the way in.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we'll cover next week The Craft.
Oh yeah, the craft.
And then maybe closer to Friday the 13th, we might cover Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's, kismet. Um,
Yeah, feels appropriate.
but which Friday the 13th? Because there's more than 10 of them.
We might have to just
No, we
do.
don't count 10.
We might have to just do like all of
Do,
them, like a just a
oh,
franchise review. It's so hard to pick, but
yes.
that would be hard to
And
watch
there
all of
should
them.
be special mention of the 2009. So there's Friday the 13th. It was relaunched, the franchise, in 2009, and it's in the fandom just called Friday the 13th, 2009. It's the best, one of the best slasher movies, I think, ever. So if you
We have
really want to
so many
watch
feelings
a
about these slasher
slasher,
movies. They're so
yes,
good.
I love a
I
slasher.
mean,
Oh,
we should just do. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe November. Maybe we need to hold November for like slasher films, and we need to do like
slashers.
Halloween, Friday the 13th. Oh, there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones.
Sleepover
Nightmare
Camp.
Before Elm Street. Yeah, all of them. They're good.
Zombies.
This
The
will be great
Trailer Park of
because
Terror.
in my day job, we're doing a creator camp event from October 11th through 13th. So I'm gonna be late. I'm not gonna be able to do that week for the show, or we'll have to move it around a little bit. But yeah,
But
something where it's like I'll be in like the camp vibe, and then taking the camp vibe into the spooky vibe on the other side of it will be really fun.
well, Friday the
Yeah.
13th, Camp Crystal Lake. Let's
Exactly.
yeah.
It'll go from like content camp to Camp Crystal Lake. It'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I do love a good sleepover camp. I'm like, give me a movie, not something terrifying, but I just want, kids having inappropriate drug use and sex and dying in the woods.
Yeah.
That's my happy space.
Yeah. Can't tell you. Yep. The virgins live forever, so it's only when you give it up that it's game over for the people coming out, which
It's like,
is in
really, what are
itself
you
a
living for
message.
after all those memories?
I know, Paul. Yeah, Paul can live stream from Salem. One of the
Ooh,
tours we're doing as part of our event is a ghost walk in Salem. So there you go. Maybe we can do a
that
behind
would
the
be
scenes.
amazing.
I know, right? I know. Well,
I'm tempted to do a ghost walk in Montreal,
you
but
should.
also don't really need to. I feel like they need to just rest here. We shouldn't drag them up. Like,
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much.
It's a lot in Salem too, but it's always fun. It's always a fun time.
Yeah.
Well, we did it. As we say, you wasted another perfectly good hour. Somehow we always seem to go an hour, even when I'm like, oh, we don't really have that much to say. We do. We always do. It would mean a lot to us if you shared this show, reviewed it, let us know your favorite movies, hung out in the live studio audience, or just let us know that you're watching or listening. It's so much fun, and we always love seeing everyone. So we record most Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern by live streaming on YouTube. So you can actually just be part of the fun with us, be part of the VHS Club. Otherwise, you can listen or watch whenever you want. So the videos stay here as replays, and you can watch them in our podcast playlist, or you can listen to them literally anywhere you get your podcast. I might have to switch over to Amazon Music for listening to podcasts, because they've been pushing real hard for all the ad-free versions of my shows. And I'm like, maybe
We're
I
gonna have
do
to
that.
stop with Google Podcasts because apparently they're getting rid of it in 2024, which I
They're
was like,
getting rid of
really?
it. Well, you
That's
might
the
need
only
to move
place I
to
use
Amazon Music.
podcasts.
I
Google.
know. Well, switch over to
Evil.
Amazon with me. They're no ads and
I'm
free.
in Canada. Amazon does nothing for us. It's really not. It's terrible, Bezos. Include Canada
Oh.
in your evil.
Oh no. Well, all right. On that note, we'll see you next time. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Bye, Nat. Bye, everyone.